Have you ever felt like you were in a psychological boxing match that you never actually signed up for? You know the feeling. That one person in your life who seems to thrive on your reaction. They poke, they prod, they use manipulative humor to see if they can get a rise out of you. And the moment you defend yourself, they flip the script and make you out to be the crazy one. Society tells you that you need to stand up for yourself or have it out with them. They tell you that if you don't fight back, you're weak. But what if the most powerful thing you could do wasn't fighting at all? What if there was a way to make toxic people simply lose interest in you? Not by being loud, but by becoming a silent shield. Today, we're going to decode the 5 quiet behaviors that act like a psychological repellent. These aren't just coping mechanisms, they are high-level strategies of relational intelligence used by the black sheep and the deep thinkers to protect their peace without saying a single word. We're hitting this topic fast today because your peace is under attack, so let's get right into the first behavior that turns you into a toxic person's worst nightmare. Welcome back to Mind Decode. If you're new here, we don't do surface-level positivity. We look at the hidden psychology of why you feel different and how to turn your rare traits into your greatest strengths. If you've spent your life feeling like an observer, or if you've endured life silently for far too long, you've found your community. Today's deep dive is about boundary architecture. It's about the shift from being a people pleaser who suffers from the dark side of kindness to becoming the quietest person in the room, the one everyone secretly fears because you are unmanipulatable. We are moving through 2,200 words of deep psychological value today, so settle in. Here are the 5 quiet behaviors that will force toxic people to disappear from your life without a single fight. The first behavior is what we call strategic boredom. Toxic people, narcissists, and high-drama individuals feed on one thing: emotional supply. They need your anger, your tears, or even your frantic explanations to feel powerful. They are like a fire that needs oxygen to burn. If you give them a high-resolution emotional reaction, you're just handing them more fuel. So, the quiet behavior you need to adopt is becoming as uninteresting as a gray rock. When they try to bait you with a backhanded compliment or a small problem they've turned into a catastrophe, you give them nothing. You don't get angry. You don't defend yourself. You give short, non-committal answers like, "Okay, I see," or "That's an interesting perspective." Psychologically, this is a form of emotional conservation. You are essentially telling their brain that you are a broken vending machine. They put in the coin of provocation, but no candy of a reaction comes out. Eventually, because their ego requires a constant stream of validation or conflict, they will get bored and move on to find a more reactive target. You aren't being cold. You are simply refusing to participate in a social filler interaction that drains your battery. You are protecting your rare mindset by deciding who gets to see your depth and who only gets the surface. The second quiet behavior is the withdrawal of explanations. Have you ever noticed that the more you explain yourself to a toxic person, the more ammunition you give them to gaslight you? In the Mind Decode world, we know that explaining yourself is often a trauma response from a childhood where you weren't seen or heard. You feel this deep, urgent need to make them understand your deep thinking or your hidden intentions. But here's the high mindset truth. A toxic person doesn't want to understand you. They want to use your words against you. Every time you say, "I did this because," they hear a handle they can pull to steer the conversation back to your flaws. So, the quiet strategy is to stop explaining. When they question your choices, like why you never post photos or why you hate being told what to do, you simply state your boundary and stop. You don't need closure from them to know you're right. Once you realize nobody cares about your reasons as much as you do, you win the game of autonomy. By staying silent after a no, you force the other person to sit with their own discomfort. You are practicing radical independence, proving that you are your own anchor, and you don't need their validation trap to feel secure in your decisions. The third behavior is unreactive observation. Because you have traumatic intelligence, you likely already possess a rare trait of being hyper-observant. You can sense when someone doesn't like you, even when they're being nice. But usually, your instinct is to try and fix the vibe or people please to make the tension go away. The shift you need to make is to watch, don't react. When a toxic person starts their routine, maybe they're using manipulative humor to put you down in front of a group instead of laughing it off or getting defensive. Just look at them. Give them 3 seconds of calm, neutral eye contact. Don't say anything. Just observe. This behavior is why people suddenly act weird around you. It's because your silence acts as a mirror. When you don't react, they are forced to see their own unacceptable behaviors reflected back at them. You are using your silent strength to signal that you see exactly what they are doing. You are decoding their behavior in real time, and that makes you intimidating to anyone who relies on social masks. You are becoming the quietest person in the room that people are warned to fear, not because you're aggressive, but because you are impossible to manipulate. The fourth behavior is implementing what we call the forgiveness filter. We've talked before about the psychology of people who forgive but never forget. Society tells you that forgive and forget is the only way to be a good person. But for a rare mind, forgetting is a security risk. The quiet behavior here is to forgive for your own peace, but silently update the data on that person. You don't need to have a big friendship breakup or a dramatic confrontation. You just quietly move them from your inner sanctum to your outer circle. You stop reaching out, and you stop prioritizing them. This is boundary architecture in its purest form. You aren't cutting them off in a way that creates a new fight. You are simply walking away silently from the emotional investment. When a toxic person realizes they no longer have VIP access to your life, your rare gifts, your 3 a.m. support, or your high-resolution memory, they will eventually realize there's nothing left to drain from you. You are protecting your small circle by making the entry requirements for your energy incredibly high. The final quiet behavior is radical autonomy. Toxic people thrive on dependency. They want you to need their approval, their invitations, or their master of one advice. They want to make you feel like you'd be lonely or unwanted without them. But when you embrace the fact that you don't need anyone, you become society's biggest threat. The quietest way to force a toxic person out is to live a life that doesn't involve them. Spend your time on your polymath advantage, your graveyard of unfinished projects, or simply doing nothing and feeling comfortable with it. When you are mentally stimulated while alone, a toxic person has no leverage over you. You aren't skipping social events because you're scared. You're doing it because you love staying at home and value your quiet strength. This level of self-efficacy is the ultimate silent shield. It sends a message that your happiness is not up for negotiation. Toxic people hate a safe harbor. They can't storm, and eventually, they will sail away to find a more fragile port. You aren't weak for choosing silence over a fight. You are strategic. You are using your relational intelligence to build a life that is high quality and low drama. You are reclaiming the voice that was silenced in your childhood and using it to set boundaries that actually stick. If this video helped you decode the toxic dynamics in your life, let me know in the comments. Which of these 5 quiet behaviors are you going to use first? Is it the gray rock, or are you finally going to stop explaining? I read every single comment because mine Decode is a circle for the black sheep and the survivors who are finally ready to win. If you want to understand more about the hidden psychology of your rare mindset, like why you talk to yourself or why you hate being told what to do, make sure to hit that subscribe button. We are doing these long-form deep dives because you deserve a script for your success, not just a shortcut. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you in the next one.